This video is sponsored by a righteous Noachide woman who wishes to remain anonymous. May God Almighty shower upon her and her family abundant blessings in all their endeavors. In this video, we will be discussing how the recent massive outbreak of anti-Semitic sentiment, which erupted in response to the war the Arabs recently waged against Israel, was prophesied to occur before the redemption, and why it was necessary. The mini-Arab-Israeli war of May 2021 brought many people out of the woodwork, the good and the bad. Sadly, the bad ones outnumbered the good ones about 10 to 1. But this is the way it was meant to be. In times of exile and darkness, when God hides his presence, and only those who really want to see are able to see the truth. At this time in human history, the ones who hate us plus the ones who just couldn't care less are the majority of mankind. But many people of all nationalities and faiths, including many, many wonderful Christians, Buddhists, Hindus, atheists, even some left-wing progressives, as well as a few very kind and very courageous Arabs and Muslims, used the platforms they have on social media, or actually went out into the streets to vocalize their support for the Jewish people. The war also brought out into the open the many hypocrites who spoke about how they really care about Israel and the Jews, while at the same time instructing us to stop protecting ourselves by destroying the Hamas war machine, because this may accidentally cause innocent civilian deaths in Gaza. These self-righteous hypocrites also encouraged the Israeli government to stop antagonizing Muslims by displaying any form of sovereignty in Jerusalem and specifically on the Temple Mount. It is not enough they implored and beseeched us to allow the Muslims, who already have complete control over the Temple Mount, to pray whenever they want and to prostrate themselves on the ground facing Mecca with their backside to the Holy of Holies, where the presence of the Shekhinah never left. It is not enough to bar the Jews from uttering even one word of prayer on the Temple Mount. But in order to be sensitive to the feelings of Muslims, we must allow them to riot and to throw stones and even grenades upon the worshippers below at the Kotel. Because if the police try in any way to stop this, it will antagonize the Muslims, whose only desire is to live in peace with us. These Gentile and Jewish hypocrites, like Biden and Blinken, who embrace, encourage, and egg on our enemies, are stupid enough to believe that they can fool us into thinking that they really care about us. As we have already mentioned in a previous video, this phenomena, that the identity of the wicked and the righteous will be revealed before the redemption, is explicitly prophesied at the end of Daniel chapter 12, verse 10. Yispareru v'yislabnu v'yitzorfu rabim v'rishiu rishoyim v'lo yavinu kol rishoyim v'hamaskilim yavinu. Everything will become clear and people will be divided. The wicked will express their wickedness and stupidity, and the righteous will see right through their guise. But why is this so? And why is it necessary to occur before the redemption? Following, I will share with you one interpretation, which will also explain one of the reasons why social media was created and why it is so widespread just before the era of redemption. There is a very interesting prophetic story related at length in the beginning of Tractate Avodah Zarah in the Babylonian Talmud. The Talmud foretells that in the future, after the Messiah comes, and the righteous are basking in the glory of the Holy Shekhinah, God will proclaim that all peoples of the world who have assisted his children, the Jewish people, in keeping his holy Torah, should please step forward so that they can receive their reward and participate in the glory of the Messiah's redemption. The Talmud then continues that the leaders of the Roman Empire as well as the Persian Empire will step forward and claim that they took very good care of the Jewish people and assisted them to learn and follow the Holy Torah. God then tells them, but not quite in these words, that they are full of bologna salami. This is an incredible prophecy. How did they know this? But I could really see it happening. Obama and Kerry, Biden and Blinken representing the Roman Empire, and all their cronies on the left and in the Democratic Party, they all stepped forward and with a straight face and incredible chutzpah and stupidity, they actually attempt to fool God Almighty. God even allows them to go on and on about how much they cared about Israel and the Jewish people. And that even their fanatical drive to get the crazy jihadists of Iran to sign a nuclear deal was only to protect Israel. But not only that, even the mullahs of Iran themselves will unabashedly stand up to God and say how much they love the Jewish people and how they allowed them to live in peace and to keep their religion in Iran, and that is only the evil Zionists that they were planning to eradicate. Besides being an amazing prophecy, it is also an incredible insight into how God runs the world. God is not a dictator, and therefore, he does not even want to punish people, or even issue negative verdicts against any human being. He therefore facilitates that everybody should issue the verdict upon themselves. The great sage of Vilna, Rabbi Eliyahu, son of Rabbi Shlomo Zalman, the Vilna Gaon, who passed away on October 9th, 1797, explains the words of our sages in Tractate Avot, chapter 3. Akavya ben Mahalal el Omer, histakel b'shleisha dvorim, ve'ena taboli de avero. The third is Lifnei mi'at osid litein din v'cheshboin lifnei melech malchei amlochem HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Meditate on three things and you will live a righteous life. The third one is to be aware that in the end you will have to give a verdict and an explanation to God for all your actions. Rabbi Eliyahu of Vilna asks, first of all, the verdict usually comes after the explanation and not before it. Secondly, the verdict should come from God, not from man himself. The answer, he says, is that God does not wish to issue any negative verdict against anyone. He will simply show them that they have already issued a verdict upon themselves. For example, when you judge somebody else negatively for something they have done, but when you do the same thing, you justify it, God will simply point out that you have already issued a verdict against someone who engaged in the very behavior that you yourself have engaged in. We see a similar concept in this week's Torah portion of Chukas, which appears in Numbers chapter 20. Moses was put in a situation which was deliberately confusing, and he therefore made an error. God said that the consequence would be that Moses and Aaron would not be able to enter the land of Israel in their lifetime, but would rather have to wait until the time of the resurrection. The Bible relates that after the death of Moses' and Aaron's sister Miriam, the Jews had no water to drink. It was in her merit that the Jews had a miraculous boulder which traveled with them and provided all the water they needed. When Miriam passed away, the boulder ceased to provide water. God commanded Moses to take his miraculous staff and find the stone and speak to it in front of all the Jewish people and tell it to resume producing water. The stone was camouflaged amongst other stones and Moses could not identify it. He spoke to the wrong stone and nothing happened. He figured that God told him to bring his staff so that if it doesn't respond to his voice, it will respond to his stick, which it actually did. Had Moses found the right stone and spoke to it, it would have been a greater miracle. And it would also show that there was no reason to display force to get even a stone to do the right thing. You merely have to educate it. This would have been a very valuable lesson for the Jewish people. The great Jewish mystics revealed that God could not allow Moses to enter the Holy Land. This is because the actions of Moses had to last for all eternity. Just like the Torah, which Moses received from God, is eternal. If Moses would have brought the Jews into the land of Israel, they would never have been able to be exiled. But for many reasons, God wanted the Jewish people to be spread to the four corners of the world. So Moses had to be barred from entering the Holy Land. God did not want to be the one to directly stop his faithful and beloved servant from fulfilling his life stream and enter the Holy Land. So he therefore facilitated a situation in which Moses would be confused, and as a result, he himself would be the cause of the consequence. And this is also why God himself has facilitated the possibility for every human being to express their views about the Jewish people through social media, so that when the Messiah comes, everybody will have already issued a verdict upon themselves regarding their attitudes to the Jewish people. God will only have to show them their tweets and their posts, and how they condemn the Jewish people for having the audacity of trying to protect themselves, and who actually conducted themselves with such extreme care not to kill non-combatants. The anti-Semites of the world will be silenced and realize that they themselves have already issued the verdict against themselves. The prophet Daniel states, chapter 8, verse 23, Koyamar Hashem bayomim mohema sheyachziku asar anoshim mikol shonis hagoyim v'yachziku b'chnafesh Yehudi leimer nelcha imochem ki shamaynu ki Elokim imochem. So declares God, when the Messiah comes, 10 non-Jews from all the nations will grab onto the corner of each Jew and come up to the land of Israel to experience the redemption. For every Jew, there's going to be 10 non-Jews who, in the merit of holding on to his corner, meaning that they have stood up for him and showed their love for the Jewish people, these are the people that will be taken together with righteous Jews to greet the Messiah. Several million Jews will initially join the Messiah in rebuilding the kingdom of David, and to accompany them, 10 times as many righteous Gentiles who have displayed their support and love for the Jewish people will come along. Now, this does not mean that God will give up on the rest of the Jews and the Gentiles and eradicate them. They will also be given an opportunity, and after a long process of purification, they too will be able to join. But initially, it is only the Jews who loved their people and proudly identified with them, as well as the Gentiles who supported them and encouraged them to stand up to their enemies. Only these people will be part of the initial celebration of the redemption. To all my listeners, Jews and Gentiles alike, we will soon march together to greet the Messiah in the land of Israel. Until then, may God be with you. Thank you for listening and for sharing this video with your friends. Please subscribe if you have not already done so, and please click the like button if you agree with what has been said. If you'd like to sponsor a video, please check the description. Shabbat Shalom.